after the winter of ice. After the winter of ice and prolonged protests with beatings and deaths and political upheaval that have divided our nation, we struggle to rise out of the flames of anger, born of fear, born of grief, and through the dark clouds that have loomed too long over our streets, our shattered homes, over immigrants, over folks who aren't white, over citizens of all colors who disagree with greedy billionaire fascist pedophile tyrants who have torn our country apart, who are killing democracy. A break reveals an ocean blue sky holding up the laughing sun. So with bruised bodies and minds, we step into the flowering meadows, wearing victorious wreaths, bounding our furrowed brows. As best we can, we ignore the drumbeat of civil war and now war. For today, the late February weather is warm, and March and spring not far away. So now we set our mourning aside and listen to the lascivious lutes as songbirds sing their amorous songs, and love's majesty comes knocking. And with wanton, unfashionable ambling, we dance to pass away the time. We dream of climbing roses, fields of lavender, of flower rhymes. On this bright day, there are no shadows. Our souls now glow radiant. On this day, we become what we have always yearned for, the fulfillment of an ideal democracy where equality, freedom, and justice for everyone is born of dreams, poems, and songs.
Okay, so I'm addressing that aspect of hearing this bifurcation that we had, and this aspect of trying to be unified. And so this is a new poem, and it's called Medusa's Third Sun Moves. If you didn't know, Medusa had 2 kids when was it Perseus killed her. One is the what's the horse Pegasus, and the other one I can never think of. It's like Crisera or something like that. And but somehow I made my own mythology up about this. Medusa's Third Sun Blues. I am Medusa's unsaid, nappy-minded and snakes, tasseled to gray tombstones, lassoed to nooses, swinging to jazz, to funk, giving way to the blackness, still my mother's pearl. I am the more Shakespeare killed, Hitler's agony with Jesse, your president's discontent. I am Medusa's son. You don't want me to dream me. I don't live in your irises, your heads where I squat, all of life's factors prodding. This is no artifice to kiss. You have guillotined me from my mother with deceits. Your masked men call up the avenue, fried turkey breasts, the new mastectomy. Mama lays headless in your concepts. I've grown to stone, some slab of consciousness. I am your mutant, seeking last rites with Professor X. And these streets avoiding sentinels. They can spot the snakes, my hair a hissing fit. I'm the son of Medusa. I'm the son Medusa never holds. You executive order me. I am Abel, not Cain, paying down hate's bills. I am Medusa's latchkey child. Liars pop up like pimples, keep coming in ripples, water spilling over my feet up to ankles. Icy dorsal fins surround me. I am in a frothy wake of Poseidon who raped Mama. That's what male gods do. Even Athena blamed the virgin. I am Medusa's son. I cannot keep down my Gorgon, swallow the me and myself. I won't abscond this wrapping, no need for removal of my scalp, my eyes, my lineage. I die like facts, like truth. I am all improvisational now. Why love a place that don't love me? Die in a billionaire's algorithm that I seek displeasure with? Yeah, Medusa's son, that Gorgon, when they mean the other word. There are no more heavens round here. Every time I enter a room, you smell Medusa's crust.
This, this aspect of stone kind of clicked in my brain. I woke up tired, needing to brush the taste of not good enough off my tongue. My legs ached from years of chasing success, and my head ached from wondering what that even was. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, but it looked as lost as I felt. So I filled my pockets and took a walk among the stones, looking for guidance from the dead. I sat under an old tree, staring at worn markers whose names and dates had been lost to the passing of time and the elements. I asked the inhabitants if we're truly gone when we're forgotten, afraid I'd one day be unknown dust like them. Kneeling here, stooping there, I left rocks, beads, and feathers, hoping to trade my trinkets to these impartial observers for any wisdom they'd gained when they lost the flesh from their bones. One by one, I asked them if they knew how to answer questions I couldn't even figure out how to ask myself. I poured out fears and insecurities, hoping to find out one key to unlock the door to more. Despite my gifts, each one answered the same: silence. I stood a while watching the movement of leaves on a windless day and wondering if maybe they were speaking to me and I'd just forgotten how to listen. Exhausted from wanting and waiting, I found a shady corner and leaned against the chilly wrought iron fence, simply sharing my breath with those who no longer had breath of their own. In that moment, it became the most appropriate conversation to have among those stones, and I allowed myself to relax into it. No more questions, no replies, just a living ghost and the non-speaking dead passing the hours together in solitude with one another. A gentle breeze picked up, brushing my cheek and tickling my ear. I could almost imagine a voice like brittle leaves rubbing against dried bones. Sharing space, it said. Time and breath is how to be remembered, and the only offering any of us need give the living or the dead. Standing with hands in now empty pockets, wanting to believe it was true, needing to believe it was enough, I asked the silence one final thing. Is it really possible to stop chasing? Or do we simply bury it all in our souls and become our own walking graves?
Graves, life or death. Tapping my own phone. I'm going straight. Bought myself a flat top haircut so stiff I can carry a tray of martinis, waiting on people, someone to open up her purse and give me a tip, because I don't have a clue anymore as to what's going on. But I do know that I'm one step ahead, tapping my own phone to hear myself talking with people who used to be my friends, listening so I can correct myself before they do. And I've got a surveillance camera in my abandoned car across the street, watching myself replaying the tape so I can see if I'm acting funny before they catch me doing something I shouldn't. Like yesterday, I spotted myself walking too fast and I heard myself talking too loud. Yes, I got the deep fear, paranoia, anxiety, despair, and suicide blues. But I'm making sure I don't do nothing else wrong, because I done screwed up so many times I cornered myself into a backstreet dead-end alley of paranoia. And every time I hear an airplane or helicopter or car door slam, I know the Secret Service, the FBI, and the IRS SWAT teams have finally arrived, because I published a poem by the president of the United States of America without his fully conscious permission. And I'm sure I haven't paid enough taxes because I've got no income, yet somehow I keep on doing things like eating every once in a while and paying a light bill or two. But how do I do it? You're going to ask, what's the source of your income and how come you don't come to see us anymore? So yes, I've become a little jumpy, but I'm staying one step ahead, tapping my own phone, videotaping my every move, watching myself day and night, replaying the tapes because I've got a bad case of the deep fear, paranoia, anxiety, despair, and suicide blues.
Poet Juice, do not come lightly to the page by Nikki Finney. Or that's what Nikki Finney told us. Not until you sleep on a futon in a New York apartment with an ex-con who's had poetry beat him down in a cell of Etheridge nightmares does forgiveness metastasize. Not until you accept the gift of hospitality from a lesbian with Mother Teresa hands, break hot bread of God willing, can you kiss up on Audre Lorde's poetics? Not until the buzz of corner thugs who share airwaves, drunk on dialectics, all born again from the funky duende of concrete street life, slapping against university canon, is when you, poet, hone the Jesus of yourself. Fight for the only name you own, called the beat down to quench the dry throat of reputation. Letting your every line own its mule, your swagger salivating your brainstem, thirsting.
Visitation with a dead poet. Obviously, I'm the poet. It's a strange thing to follow a life from the back to the beginning. Meeting a person in reverse without smile or tone to add context to who they are or who they were. Still, I sit in the dark at the edge of the lamplight, an early morning peeping Tom, snatching glimpses of their life and dreams, captive inside a prison built from prose, where each turn of the page becomes a visitation day. Perhaps to be remembered by someone they never knew is enough to add a furlough from wherever it is dead poets go when papers and poems are all that remain. Or maybe I'm the one imprisoned in a cell of conformity, each stone laid by accepting things as they are. And with every visitation, they're handing me a piece of the key to unlock the bars of the cell that their insight helped me to see.
Spontaneous, intuitive segue. The juxtaposition of apparently irreconcilable differences. For as long as space endures, and for as long as His Holiness the Dalai Lama remains, until then may he or she too abide to dispel the misery of the world. For as long as space endures, and for as long as Kierkegaardian existential Zen humanists remain, until then may they too abide to dispel the misery of the world. For as long as space endures, and for as long as students and poets and workers who march for democracy, for peace, and for tolerance remain, until then may they too abide to dispel the misery of the world. For as long as space endures, and for as long as bills of rights protecting personal freedom remain, until then may they too abide to dispel the misery of the world. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I too abide, despite my failures, to dispel the misery of the world.
kind of gets into some of that 60s love. Born into chaos. 3 years and a day after Norma Jean Mortensen overdosed into her great sleep, I was born. I was born later in the year El Hajj Malik El-Shabaz's body ate bullets. I was born before Martin's words slid across his mustache off Lorraine's ledge. I was about 3. I was born before the operatic mafioso erasing of Robert Kennedy. I was 3 and some change. Filling the time with the age of Aquarius, filling space with us landing on dark side of the moon, filling the hypotheticals with Woodstock, Mayor Hatcher, Vietnam. Smell the white and black clouds puffing, the lime stench of the cities losing its strength. Here I was placed, like a matchbox child, with a face of soot and lungs on fire. Here my mother was born, with a face of soot and lungs of fire. Here we live in the city of steel, slowly oxidizing into its burgundy.
On birth and born, it's called Happier Late Than Never. Born, judged, assigned, a pretty princess placed in a pink bubble of lace and long hair, speaking softly, walking quietly, because Jesus only loves little girls who act like ladies, playing dress up in mommy's clothes and grandpa's overalls, waiting for the day one of them fit. Cue time and puberty, still playing dress up, only now it's in my skin. Just one of the guys, too femme for women with a Y, still judged, still assigned. So grow breasts or bind and strap on a show, but neither one is right when both feel wrong. Born silent, raised ashamed, lived in denial, because it is hard to stand proud when you have never found solid ground. But the world turns, bringing autumn and awareness, never just heads or tails, simply the coin. Created in the image of the imageless, they, them, him, her. Perception may be reality to some, but my identity is mine to define.
I have a responsibility to my black friends, brown friends, red friends, white friends, rainbow friends, to my friends of all colors in all countries all over the world. I have a responsibility to my immigrant friends, refugee friends, to my friends of every ethnicity and nationality. I have a responsibility to my friends of all beliefs, non-beliefs, religions, spiritualities. I have a responsibility to my female friends, male friends, gay and lesbian friends, bisexual friends, transgender friends, straight friends. I have a responsibility to children, to the elderly, to those who are unable to fully care for themselves. I have a responsibility to democracy, to freedom, justice, and equality for all. I have a responsibility to stand up and speak out against misogynist, racist, xenophobic, white supremacist, unchristian, nationalist, power mongers. I have a responsibility to protect the inalienable rights of all people, regardless of race, sex, or religion. I have a responsibility to stand up and speak out and abide by those precious documents our founding fathers created: the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. I have a responsibility to demand a new Bill of Rights that includes all people. I have a responsibility to stand up and speak out, to refuse, to resist, to not bow down to a king and his Project 2025 cult. I have a responsibility to be a nonviolent, peaceful poet, forever standing on the front lines, fighting for freedom, equality, and justice for all people. I have a responsibility to be woke.
So this is Living in Gray and Matters is cut through a pattern. I feel I live in the gray of life, and where we are now is the gray of life. We get to see all those little things people don't want us to see, and you can't unsee it. So it's not a black and white thing anymore. So this is Living in Gray. 1. I am breathing in the days of Naphtali's. Excuse me. I am breathing in the days of Naphtali's about unnamed boys called vultures with busted wings. I am not carrying them from point A to point B. I am not depleting their airwaves, redacting them out. I am not calling them non-beings. They are dying on video before us, giving up the last holy word. I am marked with an Ida B. Welling, a James Cameron keloid memory, or the two-faced science of drapetomania. We watch drama, how we commingle with our air, but still visualize one losing his breath. I hate being a body limped into non-breathing, or the last funnel breath, taking out a match, no fire to name. So questioning above, how many breaths does it take to own a full life? What does the last gasp of one person freed into the sinuses of the living taste like? A backwash reflux wafting, rattling in the living's throat? When one is readjusted, who does one call to subdue the readjuster? The people with badges, readjusting in broad daylight? Oh, there's good badges, readjustees who will fight readjusters, but in the gray coals, we all look alike. We all add more heat, more sparks and spikes, more dotting infinite eyes, more punctuating news events for how to puncture what's relevant. So question, what is relevant in jotting down our daily injuries on sticky notes? When shall our eyes witness my breaths, your breath, and our breaths are holding cells to life? When shall we see choking a soul out of one ashen body only releases that soul back into every living thing? 2. I am writing through cloudy hallucinations, broken words scattering on lined expectations. My words have turned itchy, become anxious for a cipher's punctuation, for a phlebotomist of capitalization over the status quo of capitalizing. I am breathing in the slashing of my T's, the non-dotting of my I's, like it's a negative 10 degree below confiscating my breath, like I'm downhilling, tubeless. I'm crashing into a sentence, a line, a paragraph, a stanza moving from its feet to its knees. This is called Sometimes It Snows in April. Was it like 3 years ago when we did that? And it was a really big snow too. Sometimes it snows in April. The snow fell like a myth god took bites of cumulus clouds, spat them down from heaven onto my Midwest, an idyllic snow globe realm. The snow covered the branches, pulpy, thick like all the trees were Douglas firs. It was April 20th. There were blossoms bursting out of branches, headed towards spring, blanketing a chronic white on white commotion. Love took me straight to Prince, a day before 5th anniversary of the guitar player relocating to another plane. I bumped his backbeat like meth. Everybody antsy. my city under resuscitation. Here comes the rain again, the next song in my ears. Annie Lennox knew proper way to place metaphors on violin strings. I rode around. This could be the last snow until the next snow. There's nothing like love in a car, being in the snow, letting music have me and bring me back. The officer who killed George Floyd will see bars. That's history. There's that. There's how Minnesota, people around the globe, exposed their voices like a universal tsunami. People morphed into an army of harmony. The snow moved me to Sun Ra. He and Van birthed hallucinations of images. The ache of my imagery too much, so my tears talked. Broken, recouping, I drove deeper. I videoed life like a young lady did outside storefront, but it wasn't enough to hone the scratchy emotions unable to escape. Acquiesce to the good trouble. The emails, the texts, the chatter, miss me with that. I drove deeper. The snow talked in syllabic rumbles. Sun Ra played for our mystic futures out there. I pointed car towards Minnesota, drove for out there, and I never pumped the brakes. I guess I'll go with this. Where do all the fucks go? They fall out of pockets with loose dirt and old lint. They disappear with the ice in our sweaty glass of Dr. Pepper. They fall out the maple trees, the helicopters, the twisters, the whirligigs, actually called Samaras. They are hidden with the voices in Tulsa's mass graves. They go where they go when we vacuum the dust bunnies. Fucks float like hopes. We must care and believe in them, or else they shy and hide like Tinkerbell, feeling some type of way. They move with the shallows because they too are shadows. They used to bend down to a child's level until the child started looking like his daddy. They fall fast and hard like lies, say aren't lies, but grow heavier now. Blame your mama. They get lost in phrases like, I'll never hit you again. They jingle with the loose change as we make left turns in our minivan while our children yell, yay! They evaporate in moon dust, tearing into the night. They Hansel and Gretel our childhood for a place deep into the woods of our psyche. They go missing with, I thought I had 20 bucks in my wallet. They linger in shrubbery with our stalker. They fall into our mouths, loud residencies, full of elephants, full of donkeys. They live in the cloudy eyes of a person cold-cocked while still standing, while the brain has broken rank. They fall in between the identities of the days who were he's and she's last year. They say one thing to our husband and another thing to our priest, but we don't find out until we are on our deathbed. They have changed their tastes, but will say they taste the same. There's squirrels and possums and raccoons working, second shift at the factory. They are lodged in the breaths of smokers and joggers, of swimmers checking for their heartbeats. They trickle down and ferment in the taint, just so we will scratch. They slide out of mother's slippage when identifying her son's body, evaporate into our blue sky.
Community message board. My fractured city, my broken state. Who have we become? This Athens of the prairie that's come to symbolize the death of democracy instead of honoring the place of its birth, where we cheer the use of a child as bait for lives and skin different than our own, while the ghost of Stevenson haunts our reasons wearing the white sheets barely hidden in our words. Where we make jokes about Minnesota side by side with declarations about how much Jesus loves, and have more complaints about the drive-thru at McDonald's than concern for people unhoused and dying in the cold. Where we care more about reproductive biology and bathroom assignments than who can afford to eat in our schools, and judge books by their covers to promote bans and burnings because we have to keep our children's thoughts pure. Where our politics and people are red and white respectively, only the Colts are blue, a microcosm of the crossroads of America, the ones where deals are struck at midnight for souls. My fractured city, my broken state, who will we become? The sins of our fathers, the obedience of our mothers, or silent subjects to those who claim power in the name of their God? So this one is called Logic and Fear, and I'm kind of dedicating this one to you, Curtis, because the whole concept that a poet will write a poem about anything.
True.
You're frustrated with my anger over a stupid knee-jerk reaction to an inappropriate joke at a single uncomfortable moment in time. Because herd mentality is a real thing and I don't get how locker rooms are. We walk away in silence because you don't understand the fear I can't figure out how to put into words. It fills the gaps that logic doesn't fit. And I know I can't remain frozen before the ice flow I feel coming in my bones. I wish we could talk about the bigger picture, about what the bigger picture is, and all the puzzle pieces of their whys. Like the law's intent of stripping my biological gender of rights, or the dehumanizing of anyone who opposes, while AI monitors everything said and clicked online. What's the point in outlawing people who just want to live the truth of who they are? And based on history, I never trust anyone who uses God as justification for why. But where the logic really fails me, and fear wants to step in and take its spot, is why the $38.3 billion for warehouses to house people when your entire policy is to immediately deport. I am afraid, which makes me angry, and I know you can't read my mind to understand, but if someone can't speak up over an inappropriate joke, how can I believe they'll stand and say no when ICE comes to fill warehouses with people like you and me? Wood Wide Web. Because science, you. Sorry. I just learned about the Wood Wide Web, a term coined to describe the way trees communicate through a network of underground mushroom filaments. Through this web, trees can send out chemical and electrical signals to warn the others when they're sick or under attack. Older mother trees are alerted when saplings are in trouble and can share their nutrients and waters with those caught in drought or struggling in too much shade. Because of this network, when one tree is cut down, the whole forest feels the loss, and occasionally the remaining trees will work together to help keep the stump alive. All of these things make the Wood Wide Web my favorite thing I have learned in years. Because people aren't that different from trees. We have roots that run deep and filaments of connections linking us to each other, allowing us to feel the needs of even those we can't see. Like the trees and mushrooms, people are symbiotic, depending on one another to not just live, but to thrive. And in this technological age, that energy isn't only local. Our forest now stretches around the globe. Recently, my roots have been on fire, and there are days I am overwhelmed by the amount of signals and distress calls burning through the ground, asking us to remember that we are all mother trees, and it's our job to nurture, to protect our collective humanity, and ensure that it doesn't just live but thrives, and not to wait until all we have left is to keep the stump alive.
Forever surprised by angels, one. One eye turned outward, one eye turned within. Heart unbarred, soul a vigil flame, two worlds visible, braided into one. The ordinary burning with the unseen. I testify the veil is thin. I am forever surprised by angels. They arrive without warning. They depart without apology. I am forever surprised, too. Full moon trembling across the dark river, sandhill cranes, holy scripture, crossing the Milky Way at 3 a.m., the sky open, a wound of light, and there, on the bank, an angel bending to gather wildflowers, silver song rising through mist and bone. Do not tell me the world is only steel and stone. Do not tell me this life is only rust and dust. I have seen the shimmer inside the night. I am forever surprised by angels. In river wind, in star blaze, in the trembling dark, I am forever surprised. 3. Every time I have fallen into the ditch of despair, every time the will shattered and the map burned, when breath thinned, when hope fractured, an angel came, not robed in spectacle, not clothed in, but clothed in presence. A hand extended, a door unlatched, lifted from mud, lifted from silence, lifted back into standing. Hear me, listen. Grace is not myth. Mercy is not metaphor. Angels walk this earth, unannounced, unrecorded, undeniable. I am forever surprised by angels. In breakdown, in rebirth, in the ash of what was lost, I am forever surprised. 4. How do I repay such visitations? How do I measure the invisible labor of light? I cannot. So I stand in declaration. This planet spins in miracle. This breath is borrowed fire. This heart beats inside a cathedral of stars. Everything is gift. Everything is threshold. Everything is alive with wing beat. Let those who doubt, doubt. Let those who sleep, sleep. I have seen, and I say it loud. I am forever surprised by angels. In roadside ditch, in moonlit river, in my small kitchen before dawn, they arrive, they lift, they vanish into radiance, and I remain, preaching, proclaiming, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, and one more. Prayer for the world. Deliver us from fear, for fear is forever conquered by love. Let love rise within us, bright as dawn, calm as water, endless as breath. Deliver us from power without wisdom, from strength without mercy, for power that forgets compassion, devours itself and all it touches. Teach us quiet courage, the courage that listens, the courage that serves, the courage that heals. Deliver us from arrogance, from the blindness of privilege, from the fever of superiority. No one stands above another. Each life is a light, one flame, one fire, one vast eternal song. Deliver us from greed, from the hunger that forgets the hungry. Grant us hearts content with little, hands open to share the earth's bounty, grain and river, sky and stone, the sacred circle of enough. Deliver us from silence that shelters cruelty, from stillness that consents to war. Let our voices rise like wind, carrying truth, carrying compassion, carrying peace through every broken place. Grant us balance of love, of power, of wisdom. Make us gentle warriors of peace, steadfast in hope, fearless in kindness, radiant in grace. Teach us to live rightly, to act with care, to walk humbly, to tend this world as neighbor and kin. And for this life, this brief, shining gift, we give thanks for the bounty of earth, the beauty of sky and sea, the love of family and friends, and the eternal breath that unites us all. Deliver us from fear, for fear is forever conquered by love, and let love rise within us, bright as dawn, calm as water, endless as breath. Thank you.
It's called I Am Human. You have seen me, though you pretend not to. You smile at your companion, you sparkle in your new clothes. You show no guilt at skipping the tip, because, after all, you don't believe we're important. We sweat over burning coals, expensive steaks sizzling, torturing our empty stomachs. We can't even afford the fat you trim and leave on your plate. We clear your tables, and we wonder at how you must live privately when publicly you're such a mess. You congratulate yourselves when authorities arrive, hauling those with papers to stations to be sent abroad. Yet, though you've rid the world of our existence, you now have no one to cook your food, clear your stations, or stoop low enough because you refuse to lower yourself to our level. See us, feel us, respect us. We are human.